Hey everyone, it's Kaela Brandy, and you're listening to Catching Up with Kaela. I'm so excited to be introducing my very good friend Lindsey Dell'Isola, and I'm even more excited to be starting my podcast. I've been in the works for a couple months now, but I never really got around to actually producing it and creating it, filming it. So I'm so excited to have her as my first podcast guest, and we talk about everything from friendships to struggles to memories, and it's a pretty good episode, I'm not gonna lie. So if you want to have a laugh today and just see what two 23-year-olds, well, I think she's actually 22, but if you want to hear what two 20-something-year-olds have to say, stay tuned. Okay, so hi, Lindsey Dell'Isola. How are you?
Hi, Kaela Brandy. How are you?
How are you doing today? Are you excited to be the first guest on this podcast?
Yeah, I feel like I'm a celebrity. Like, watch
The Wendy Williams show?
I feel like Watch What Happens Live, like on Bravo. Like, I'm a real housewife.
Real Housewives of Norwalk. How do you feel? Okay, so pretty much let's just start off with like introducing yourself and like any like types of anything you want to pretty much bring up, if that makes sense.
Okay.
We talked a little bit about it, but you can bring up whatever.
Okay, so my name is Lindsey Dell'Isola, as Kaela has already said, and we met in college and we became best friends. Yay. And I am 22 years old, and there's not much else about me.
What did you do in college? Like how did you what made you go to Sacred Heart, if that makes sense?
Okay, so I wanted to go to Sacred Heart just because I was a swimmer and I swam from when I was 5 until I was 20. So when I was graduating high school, the only thing I was really thinking about with going to college was like where I want to swim and like who's going to give me the most like scholarship and like where am I going to be able to swim and like also have a nice college life. So it didn't really matter like how far away from home I was or like where the school was. I was just like, let's just get me in school and get me out of here in swimming.
Were you trying to train for the Olympics? Like what, I forgot what ever happened, like why you didn't.
Okay, I wasn't that good. So I started swimming when I was 5 and like I swam all through high school for the same team. So Zoo Swim Team, shout out in Norwalk, Connecticut, great team, join. And so I was like good, but I wasn't great. Like I wasn't gonna go to the Olympics or anything, but like I was good enough to swim in college, and like, everybody knew me. Like, oh, Lindsey, she swims. Like it was kind of pathetic. Like I'm pretty sure my senior quote in the yearbook was like, "Sorry, I can't. I have swim practice."
Stop, I love that.
But we did. What was pretty cool. Like my senior year of high school, like my team got invited to go to the Olympic Training Center in.
Oh, that's awesome. Wait, stop. How was that?
That was really cool. Like that's where like all the Olympians go to train. So we got to practice in their pool every day, and we met the girls water polo team, who was like actually the team that went to the Olympics. And that was Olympic year too, because the Olympics was 2016 and this was fall of 2015. So like literally everybody was training hard to like go to the Olympics.
They're like, it's game time, let's go.
And here I am, like 17. No, I wasn't even 17. I was 16 years old, just like from Norwalk, Connecticut. I'm not great, but I'm using your pool.
I mean, I get it. I mean, considering I haven't done one sport, I don't have much to say about that. So, but no, I honestly thought you told me at one point that you're training for the Olympics, and then I like something happened where you couldn't. So
Did I really say that?
I think you did.
Damn, that was arrogant of me. I can't see me saying that though, like thinking I was cool, like, yeah, I'm gonna be in the Olympics, knowing damn well I was not good enough for that.
Yeah, you wanted to like get married to like a hockey player or something, so they had even more of a chance Did that
Oh,
make
yeah.
sense?
No, I wanted to, like this is embarrassing. I wanted to, like, get with an athlete, like, not, like, get with, like, I'm not a slut. Like, I wanted to, like, eventually, like, when I get married, marry, like, an athlete so that my kids would be, like, really good, like, athletes. But I think as an athlete myself and after, like, struggling through it, I don't know if I would want my kid to be, like, a super committed athlete, so but I mean, if they like it, it would be cool.
Yeah, let's go more on depth of why. Well, you don't have to explain why, but like, let's go more in depth of why you pretty much quit swimming, if that makes sense. Like, what made you stop middle of college?
Do you want the novel or the short version?
It's whatever you want to say.
Um, so like I said, I was swimming since I was 5 years old. So like I didn't know anything like before I started swimming. Like I don't know what life was like before that. And then I swam all through high school and like I said, like the only thing I cared about going to college was like I just want a place to swim and I wanted to swim D1. But I think that the reason I wanted to swim D1 was like more for my reputation. Like I said, like that my name was always affiliated with like, oh, that's Lindsay, she swims. And I think I wanted to keep that going. Like I was captain of the swim team when I was in high school and I was like all about swimming. And then I thought that when I went to college that I would just blossom and that I would be like even better than what I was and that I was just going to go off. And that was not the case. When I went to college, it was just a completely different experience. Like, not to
Did
be
you think it was
depressing, but
more
like,
advanced?
yeah. So like my freshman year of college, I think was like the worst time of my life.
I,
And that's
I can agree.
and that's that's deep. But like that's not just because of like swimming. I don't think it had anything to do with like my coaches or like anybody on the team or anything like that. It was just so different than what I expected. And like I expected the time commitment. Like we would have morning practices Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I think. And then I would have 8 a.m. classes every day.
So you were going straight from practice to classes.
Yeah. So I would go to practice, class, other practice, class, and then I would pull like all-nighters in the library just trying to get all my work done for school. And then slowly I feel like my swimming, even though it was like all that I was thinking about and all that I was doing, I was slowly getting not good, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
my times were just getting so bad. And I didn't even like notice it until I had gained a ton of weight at the end of freshman year. Like who hasn't? But
I was about to say, who hasn't?
I gained a ton of weight. I lost like a good group of my friends that like I had swam with prior to in high school. And I mean, I like met more friends in college, but it wasn't the same. And then I don't know, I think like after freshman year, sophomore year happened and things were a little better because I was closer with people on my team, but my times were still crap. And I think that like after swimming for so long, like your goal is to just every meet do better. And every single meet, I was doing worse and worse. And it was just like really depressing and really like, I don't know what the word is. It
Unmotivating.
really affected my life. And I started to feel like I lost part of who I was. And then when I got to the end of my sophomore year, I was like okay with swimming. Like I knew I wasn't good anymore, but I was still going to do it because I committed to it. And then we found out my uncle had cancer, and that kind of changed a lot too because, you know, our family kept doing stuff like the whole summer, like with him, because we knew like we had to get as much time in as possible. And then when I went back to school and back to swimming, like, oh, I couldn't go everywhere that I wanted to go. Like, I would have to ask if I could miss practice or anything, and you couldn't miss practice. Like, and I knew that.
Yeah, wasn't that a penalty towards you? Like, if you miss practice, you have to like make it up like with two practices. Was that like a thing?
Practice, you had to like make it up either with like another practice. So like if he knew you were gonna miss practice, then that was different. Like you could go make it up some other time. But if you like say like you slept through practice or something, like you got like a punishment makeup type of thing. And I never got that. Like I never once missed practice for anything having to do with my uncle. But then there was this one weekend where he died, and I was there, like, when he died, but, my whole family was there the whole weekend, and I had to wait for, like, the swim meet we were having to be over, and I had to worry about, like, missing practice when I should have just been, like, there in the moment, like, worried about being there with my family, and I think that was kind of the final straw for me, like, that broke me, I think, because I felt like I wasn't free to, like, be with my family or, like, go do things that I wanted to do, and that was, like, really upsetting to me, and then the more I thought about it, like I said before, I was not good anymore, and that was depressing as it is, and then I thought, like, "Why am I giving all of this up if I'm not getting anything out of it?"
Right.
Like, I loved being on the team, like, I love the team environment and, like, having friends on the team, but I don't know, I think at the end of the day, that, like, just wasn't enough to keep me there. I felt like if I stayed any longer, I would have just lost more and more of myself.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, what would happen if you decide just to stay in it for the whole, the whole 4 years? Like, you think you would be even more depressed, or like, you think you would be very unmotivated even more with like,
Yeah, I feel like I don't know if this is a bad analogy, but it kind of felt like a toxic relationship.
no, it makes
Like,
sense.
me and swimming, like, I had been in this for 15 years, and I was prepared to, like, I was always thinking, like, "You were committed to this, like, you have to do your whole 4 years, like, you have to finish," and I was almost there. It was, like, almost the end of junior year season. We had, like, 2 months left, but even then, I'm like, "I can't finish this season because if I do any more, I'm gonna lose part of myself," and at the end of the day, no matter how committed you are to something and no matter, like, how much you love something, if it's hurting you and it's making you lose part of yourself, you just have to get out.
Very inspiring. I agree. I mean, what do you think, like, if you could change a couple things, or even just one if you prefer, like, what would you change about how they went about the whole coaching, or like what would you change about the swimming aspect, like the swimming team as a whole? Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah, I feel like
to make it better for people like you.
if I went to, like so, like, there's a difference between, like, Division 1, 2, 3, like, Division 1 schools, like, not always, but, like, typically are, like, you have more time commitment, and I think that, like, if I went into college not thinking about swimming, thinking about, like, what I wanted to do, like, school-wise, and if I, like, went to a school that I cared more about classes than I did swimming, like, I had swimming as just, like, an extracurricular, I think I probably still would have been swimming. But at the same time, I don't regret coming to Sacred Heart because I met friends and, like, I did have a good time and, like, I loved being on the team and I loved the environment, it just the sport in me kind of needed space.
Right. No, I agree.
Oh, yeah, it was, like, really hard to quit, but at the end of the day, I think I made the right choice and I'm better for it.
Let's talk about how your family reacted to you quitting, because I know your mom wasn't particular too happy with it.
Okay, so
How did that affect?
when I quit swimming, the day I quit, I was, like, kind of dramatic, and I made, like, a big Facebook post, like, saying, like, "I've been doing this for 15 years, it just isn't for me anymore," like, and I thanked, like, all the coaches I've ever had, and it was just, like, this really, like, emotional time, and I was, like, trying to get closure, and, like, for some reason, me quitting swimming was, like, the biggest event to, like, ever happen
What do you mean
in
by that?
that year. Like, everybody pretty much supported me and, like, even my friends who were on the team, like, they were upset that I was leaving, but they understood and they, like, were supportive of me, and then I just think that for my mom, it was really hard, and yeah, she was upset with me when I told her that I wanted to quit.
Yeah, I feel like your mom was pretty much like a part of your life, like in that lifestyle with you. So I feel like when you quit, I feel like she pretty much was like, what do I do now? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Like, she was so when we were in high school, she was an official, so, like, she would go, like, to the meets. It's official in swimming is kind of like a referee, like, making sure, like, people are doing what they're supposed to be doing and like you disqualify people and like that took a lot of her time. And now she's doing that like as like a job. She's like officiating high school swimming. So like that was her whole life too. And it was my brother's senior year. So he was already about to be done swimming. And I think she expected to have like another year with me, like being able to go to meets and like being part of it.
About
Yeah, and
yeah.
then I think, like, she supported me, but also, like, when I decided to quit, it was the end of a big part of her life too, and I think that was just hard for her to accept. But at the end of the day, she's my mom, and, like, we got over it, and I was
Yeah,
just
now look at you. You had so much more free time in college. Like you changed your major. Like, do you want to go more in depth with
there was,
that?
like, a lot of changes in
Yeah,
college.
there was a lot of changes. But this is your story to tell, my friend.
Oh, my story, okay. No, I think that it was necessary. I feel like yeah, like, I changed my major, like, in college. I used to be a bio major, and, like, that was not great. That
Yeah,
took a lot of
from
time.
coming from someone from that's a non-science person, it seems
Yeah,
like a
and then when
lot.
I switched to, political science and criminal justice, and, like, I wanted to be a history minor too, but I didn't have time to, like, fit in the classes before I graduated, but that difference made college so much easier, and then it felt like one more thing needed to change for me to be, like, completely zen, and that was swimming. That was definitely, like, the biggest change in my life. That
Yeah, I remember like cuz we were roommates for like how many years? Like we were roommates for 3 years or 2 years, sorry, 2 years. Well, technically
and
3.
it well, yeah.
But like
Much later.
I feel like cuz you always used to wake up like so early, like what, 5 a.m. and I still to this day wake up almost thinking I'm hearing the Jason Derulo like alarm song. So but like I feel like that was such a major adjustment because even like seeing you like quit swimming and you had all this free time, like you were like getting more stuff done, I feel like.
Yeah, I definitely did a lot better in school. Like, that was when I changed my major, I still like, I did better in my grades, but not, like, as great because I still had, like, all this time being taken up by swimming, and I think it's definitely possible to do both. To do well, but it just wasn't for me, I feel like. And once I quit, like I was on the dean's list the first semester that I wasn't swimming and like I did so much better in school because I had time to like devote to that. And I also had time to devote to my social life. Like a lot of friends that I had when I was in high school, like I couldn't hang out with that much because I had swimming. And like when I didn't have swimming, I was hanging out with like my friends from swimming because we were so close. And I think that like after I stopped swimming in college, I kind of had a better relationship with people that I was still friends with, but I didn't really get to see that much.
Right. No, I agree. I agree. But like I think swimming honestly like I mean granted you probably didn't want to quit, but I think swimming was a good thing for you and like you did it for such a long time. What, it was like
15 years.
17 years?
Like 15, almost 16, because I was about to be 20 when I stopped, and
Oh, okay.
I was 5 when I started, like, competitively, but, like, I was doing, like, swimming lessons and shit before that.
Right. Are you still swimming now? Like even not competitively? No.
Okay, so I swam, like so I work as a lifeguard at the YMCA, which, like, sometimes is a little bit, like, of a PTSD nightmare because because the kids there, like, they swim, like, the same practices that, like, we used to swim, and, like, my old club coach, like, coaches there, so sometimes it's, like, a little, like
Am I going back and coach? Like put me in coach.
I'm like, "Oh my god, do I have to swim?" But no, but because I work there, I have, like, a free membership, so sometimes I go in and swim, but I haven't swam since, like, over the summer. I swam, like, a couple times, and I could only swim for, like, a half an hour tops.
Yeah, I mean, I could barely even do that, but I give you credit. But yeah, no, I think it was a good decision on your part. And then also I still remember the day that you told me you're gonna quit swimming and like the conversations we had about it. You're like
So it was like a mission.
it was like a huge thing for you because like we always thought like we like always thought you were gonna be in swimming for like the rest of your life. Like, didn't your mom didn't want you to like join masters or something?
Yeah, she's like, I think you're gonna go back to it. Like, masters is like adults who still swim and like go to practices every day and compete in meets. Like, but usually they go back to it when they're like older in life. My mom wanted me to go back like right after I quit.
Once graduation hits, the day after, you go back.
You're back in swimming.
We always had jokes for the people listening. We always had jokes about how her mom would make her go swimming in her pool in the middle of winter at like 2 a.m. like just to get like relive it.
That never.
It never happened,
No,
but we just joked about it.
we're on vacation. Like, I had to go swim. Like, we went to Disney World and I missed like 3 days of practice. So my coach sent me a set and I swam in like the hotel pool.
Did you actually though, or did you just like?
Yes, I swear to God, I did.
I would just, honestly, if that was me, I probably would just be like taking a photo of the pool, like, or maybe me in it, and then I'd get out, and like, I don't think I would actually do it, knowing me. Like, I'd try to find a way around it, like, to seem like.
I would have done anything to get out of swimming, but my mom was sitting there like watching me. Like,
She's like, your coach is not here, I'm here.
no, it was kind of messed up. So like, remember when we lived together and like especially like when it was just you and me, and it was my junior year right before I was about to stop, and we just lied there, and I just say like, what if I didn't go to practice tomorrow? And it was kind of messed up, but I was like, do you want to like run over my leg in the parking lot so that I
Dude, you don't understand how many times we had this conversation. It was literally, and I'd always joke with you about it. I'm like, you want me to go run over your leg in the parking lot so you don't have to go to practice? You're like, okay, let's do it. And then I'd be like, no, I'm just kidding. I don't want that. I'm like, there's cameras in the parking lot. We don't need that.
time, like my sophomore year when I was going to practice. So like we would wake up at like the literal ass crack of dawn to go to practice. And like my sophomore year when I had a car, like my parking spot was like right next to the dumpsters, and it would be like 4:35 in the morning, and I'd be walking next to the dumpsters, and there was like a bunch of raccoons there. And they were really cute. Like, I think raccoons are really cute. And I'm like, oh my God, I want to play with them. And then in my head, I was like, no, but like they probably have rabies and like you don't need that.
And you're like, well, what if I could get out of practice?
But the other voice in my head was like, well, if you have rabies, you don't have to swim. That was like really messed up. I don't want people to think that like.
I get your humor. I get it. I get it. Don't worry. That's so funny. No, literally, like, we used to joke about so many different scenarios. And, like, thinking back, like, we probably shouldn't have done that, but it's fine. It was funny in the moment, so we're fine.
And it was funny in the moment, and then when we think back about it, it's like, oh, that's kind of messed up.
But also, like, we still laugh, but it's still fine. It's fine. We don't need to talk about it. Anyways, okay, so 2020, let's get into our next segment now. So 2020 has been the year of just trash, like just straight up trash. Like, it was awful. So I know, based on certain things you told me throughout the year, we both lost good friends that we thought we could work it out with. That was a crucial time for us both. But anyways, so let's start with, do you think certain people are meant to be in your life? Like, to teach you a lesson? Or like, do you think people can stay in your life and then leave once they serve their purpose? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
I think so. I feel like, I don't know if people are like placed in your life for a reason. I think it's based on like, like where you live and like where you go to school and like what you do. You meet people and then you become friends with them. And I think it's natural to like have people in your life that are good for you and have people in your life that you think they're good for you, and then you go through some shit and it's like, okay, maybe I should not be with them anymore. And I
Yeah, like they're trash, like they're toxic.
yeah, I think everybody goes.
Yeah. No, I've been through it more than once with one of my friends, as you know. But like, let's say like you and your friend get into a sticky situation, perhaps. How do you like do you work it out for the sake of the friendship and your history together, or do you try to work it out because you guys have good like friendship chemistry together? Does that make sense?
I think it depends on like what the situation is and like your relationship with that friend. Like I've had situations where like back in high school I was like a petty bitch. Like like got into a lot of fights and like caused drama with my friends, and then like now that we've gotten older, like even though I've had falling outs with people, now that we're older and I've gotten to look back at it, like I've made amends with some people and we can move forward and like not be friends but like be civil. But then there's other people who like now when I'm at this place in my life, I feel like I'm like more mature and like not as petty. Like I still can do petty things, but I feel like it's kind of a waste of my time. So when I have falling outs with people now, I feel like it means more. And then I sit back and look at it and I think that like if you see what the person did and you can look at them without constantly thinking about what they did, then you have a chance to work through it. But if all you can think about is what they did to you or like what you've done to them, I think that you need to sit back and think, okay, is this person really good for me? Am I good for them? And if you decide, like, okay, maybe it's best if we're not friends, then that's perfectly fine. It's your life.
Right, right. No, like, see, like, with certain situations, it's like, do I still keep being someone's friend, even if we've had maybe close to a decade long friendship on and off? Or do I know this person's not good for me and still keep working at it to see maybe if it works out? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
And I feel like it again, like it depends. Like if you can look at that person and say like, okay, I can move on and like still have fun with them, like by all means, like keep being friends. I have friends like that. I have friends like I've gone through shit like where like I'm definitely not 100% innocent, but also like they've done some crap to me. And if I like I look back at it like we fought about it and we got upset, but then after that we don't think about it anymore and we still have a lot of fun. I think that's definitely a friendship worth having because you're always going to have like falling outs with people, like you're always going to have ups and downs. But if you can continue to have fun and like just know where you stand with somebody, then I that you can still survive it. But if somebody like does something really bad and all you can think about is what they did and you can't have a good time with them anymore, like definitely like get the scissors. It's
yeah, 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 no, for sure. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much what I pretty much did. Well, I feel like we both have done that this year with certain friends. We're not naming names or anything. But I feel like even if it's your longest friend, like you still, it doesn't matter if you've been friends for a day or if you've been friends for like 100 years. Like it's still like if your behavior is not matching the way I want it to be. I mean, that sounds really bad as I say it.
what you mean. Like if your behavior is like not good for you, then they're probably not the best person to be around, like regardless of like how long you've been friends.
Yeah, it's like a toxic relationship. Like if you're going through something with your significant other and their behavior is not the greatest, like why are you still and it's making you sad, why are you still going to be with this person who's not making you happy?
And I think a lot of times it's like friendships versus relationships, like they're different, but also a, like kind of the same too.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. No, I agree 100%. And I also feel like effort in either a friendship or relationship should go both the ways. It shouldn't just go one way.
Because then if somebody's putting in effort and the other person isn't, then like you feel like an asshole. Like, why am I putting in all this effort for somebody who doesn't care about me? Like, they can't give me the time of day.
Right. No, I agree. I agree. So, what would your advice be on if you and your friend like can't figure out a situation or move on from a situation?
I feel like you can't move on from something. Like, have a Real Housewives reunion and just like go at it. 100%, just like tear each other
Where's
down.
Andy
I'm,
Cohen when you
I'm
need him?
kidding. Definitely don't do that. No, like, okay, so I had a situation where like I had a falling out with somebody and I discovered something that they did after I watched the Real Housewives of Atlanta reunion, and I was ready to go off. But then I had to sit back and say, like, okay, you're not a real housewife. Like, you're a real person. Like, you need to go figure things out on your own. So, circling back, sorry.
No, don't worry.
When you're having issues with somebody and you feel like you can't move forward, I think that both of you need to sit down and talk. And if you can't talk without like getting into an argument, then you need to sit on your own, look back at the good times, look back at the bad times, make a little pros and cons list.
Yeah, right.
Say, like, okay, is this good for me? Is this good for them? And I mean, you could still like be civil with somebody without being their friend, you know?
I was just
Like,
about to say that.
people that I don't talk to anymore, like, I still love them and I still hope they have like the best in life, but I don't need to be friends with them because it's not serving me well and it's not serving them well.
Yeah, like again, like effort and friendship is like a two-way street. Like you have to be in it both. Like you can't just like I mean, okay, in that sense, I say relationships and friendships are both different in that sense of if you're dating someone, like you have to put in effort, but with friendships, you still do, but it's not as intense. Does that make sense?
Because if you're in a relationship, like, okay, I don't know if you're like, poly is separate, but like if you're in a relationship with like one person, you want them to be loyal to you, like they want you to be loyal to them. It has to be like a two-way street. Whereas like if you're friends, like you can be friends with other people.
Yeah, it's not like you're romantically linked with this one friend. It's
Yeah,
like,
when you add like romance and stuff like that, it definitely makes it more.
oh my god. And then like the friends with benefits, we're not even gonna go there, but like it's just like I feel like if you mix both of them together while we're on the topic, if you mix both of them together, like it just seems like a disaster. So I mean, that's a little tricky at that.
Yeah, I feel like that gets really complicated because it's like, what do you value more, like the friendship or the sexual relationship? Like,
Yeah, like do you see like a future with this friend? Is that like that you're willing to give up this friendship if things don't go right? Like, you know what I mean? And it's like you can't just go back from that. Like you'll always have that romantic interest with that person. You know what I mean? I don't know
yes.
how we got from that point to this point, but we're living for it.
We're talking about friends or were we talking about relationships?
This is what happens when I introduce two examples together. It's fine. It's fine. But what do you think 2020 as a whole has taught you regarding, like, well, what do you think 2020 has taught you regarding, like, friendships? Like, do you think you have more of a knowledge of how to value a good friendship than you did previously before this?
So I think like the end of 2019, I was like picking up the pieces and like making amends with the people that I told you about. And then when 2020 happened, I kind of had this mindset like, I'm all good, like it's smooth sailing. And then obviously COVID and all that happened. And turned out like people weren't the same as you thought. And I think that the biggest lesson I learned regarding friendship in 2020 is just like how to communicate. Because when you're in a group of people and you're friends, like there's always going to be people like talking behind your back. And I think that's different now that like when we couldn't go anywhere and we couldn't see people and like people would still talk about your behind your back, but you're not seeing these people and nobody is going to be exposing them to you. They're not seeing you. And I think also like even if you're not having a falling out with somebody, like in 2020, like I said, like communication was key. Like well, I say like a lot. The friends who still made an effort to talk to you and like have a conversation with you when they can't see you in person, I feel like that definitely made a difference.
Right. No, I agree. I agree. I think quarantine has made everyone more aware of their feelings and what they want out of life, and I think some people maybe haven't had that realization quite as quick as others, if that makes sense.
And I think like definitely quarantine also like when you don't see your friends in a while, like when you reunite, like it's like the best feeling. But when you're being forced to not be able to see somebody, like you can still talk to them and like we have phones, people. Like
Yeah, right? Like we text every single day.
do things with your friends, and I think that like just because we were in quarantine doesn't mean like your friendship had to stop or not grow or get worse. Like, and I think that like with the majority of people, I still remain friends with, and I even talk to more. I think like through the phone, and some people like took advantage of that and didn't work out well. Because I think that like a conversation is different in person than it is through a text.
Oh, 100%, I think so.
You can be transparent through a text and like still I don't know where I'm going. I don't know if I sound
No,
stupid,
you
but like
sound no, I get what you're saying, 100%.
I can tell that you texting and you talking to me is like the same, then that's genuine.
Yeah, like
Sense.
I feel like I get in that sense of like if you're texting someone and they just give you one word replies, like okay, like you don't want to talk to me. Like I get the message, I'll back off. Like you just text me when you want. But like if you're talking to someone, like you can actually like us right now, like we're not in person, but we can still like talk and like thankfully with the technology we do have, like we can still hear the emotion, the tone, like you know what I mean? Like you have that real connection still, even if it's through a screen. But what do you think you learned? And a side note, what do you think you learned over like from 2020 as a whole? It doesn't have to be like friendships or anything, but like what's your biggest lesson you took away from 2020?
Think like no matter what the world throws at you, like pandemic and like all this crap, like you can still keep going and you can still try to better yourself. Because I was doing really well in 2019, and then 2020 happened, and I felt like mentally and physically like it affected me a lot. But at the end of the day, I realized like I'm still the same person. Like the world, although it's different, is still going, and you still have things to aspire to. So you just have to like stay stay on the money, keep on track, and do what you're doing. Like and try to better yourself even though so many things are going against you.
No, yeah, like I think 2020 was possibly the worst year ever compared to 2013, which was probably the second running up. Like that was the worst year of my life, and I think we could all collectively agree.
If nothing will ever top 2016 being the best.
Oh, 2016 was prime time, the best year of my life so far.
Summer 2016 was like the hiatus. Like not the hiatus, like the high.
It was like the down, like it peaked in like spring for me, and then it went downhill once I got to school.
Yeah, same.
Like I had the greatest time second semester senior year of high school. Like that was the
Yeah.
greatest time of my life. Like I think about that often and like it's very sad. But you know what? It was probably the greatest time.
It's okay. It's like 4 years ago now.
I know. It's literally crazy to me because I think like 2014 was like 2 years ago and then like I'm like, "Oh, but it was actually like 7 years ago."
It's also weird because like we went through like college, and I'm like, we went through college. I feel like I'm in like high school was last year.
No, literally. Like I'm not going to lie, like I think I blanked out like I blocked out freshman year, part of sophomore year, part of junior year. Like, I don't remember being in school that much. Like, from my recollection, like, I don't remember, like, I mean, I remember going to classes, of course, because, like, that's a thing you do every day. But, like, freshman year, I don't remember anything other than going back from 63s and going to my dorm, and that's it. And just for the people wondering, 63s is a dining hall on Sacred Heart's campus.
Oh yeah, it was like
It was a good place for the quality of it, I guess. I don't know how to say that, but no, I think 2020 was I was honestly disappointed about the whole year as a whole because I was thinking I even said to you in your car when we first got back from winter break like January 2020, I was like, this is gonna be the best year of my life, this, that, the other thing, and look what happened.
I know. I feel that too. I definitely said that, and the world's like, you can't have a good year. Screw you.
No, and you know what's so funny? I've been seeing all over the internet, a lot of people started off with thinking 2020 was going to be the best year yet. And then the earth was like, nope. Like,
Wasn't it? Like, I don't know statistics and stuff, but I'm pretty sure like 2020 at like a world scale was like going well. Besides like coronavirus like starting out, I think like I was like,
starting out, it was great.
yeah.
Like, I thought it was going to be prime time, like, senior year of high school. Like, I thought it was going to be, like, peaking during the, like, spring. Like, I was excited. But, like, March 13th came and they're like, nope. I'm just excited for 2021. I'm just excited to see where this is going to go as this year, because we are in January. So there's still a time for things to go right or wrong. But I hope, like, things get better, because 2020 was such a mentally draining year. Like, I'm still not over it.
Yeah.
I'm still not over it. I tell my mom all the time, like, so when is this all gonna be done? Because I'm trying to enjoy 2021. Like, I'm just so I'm looking forward to, like, when they say Corona is gone and everything. I mean, not gone, but, like, it's safe enough to, like, just go out and, like, because I want to travel so bad. Like,
I know that was supposed to be my graduation gift. I was supposed to like travel and like I wanted to go to like Ireland and like all these places.
that'd be awesome, dude. We were just talking about that yesterday. We were talking about how percentage wise of how like Irish me and my family are, not to get into ancestry DNA because not sponsored. But I'm just like,
Sponsor.
I had to. People make it look cool. But like, I'm just like, I really want to go to Ireland, and I'm like, it's one of those places you gotta go to.
Then COVID.
Yeah, COVID was like, you can stay home on Long Island.
Like to Long Island to hang out with you because we can't like do that.
I know. It's literally, I'm like, still like, after the first ferry ride, like, I keep getting off topic, but that's fine. After the first ferry ride, coming back when me and my dad brought all my stuff home, you remember, like, when we were moving my stuff out, we literally, like, we had to drive around, but we were just thinking, we're like, the world isn't even in chaos yet. Like, we're like, there was no mask wearing at that time. Like, everything was normal for the most part. Like, other than there's a pandemic. But I don't know. I just want this year to be going good. Or 2022, because 2022 is, like, 22 is my favorite number. So, like, I hope that's a good year, too. If it's not, I'm going to be highly disappointed. But, okay. So, let's go into some lighthearted things, because that was a little tense. This whole, like, 45 minutes has been tense so far. Okay. So, what's one trend you think shouldn't be a trend right now?
I think like cancel culture.
Yeah.
Like I think if somebody does like something like really bad, like okay, like that's bad. Like they shouldn't have the things that they have. But if somebody says something wrong and they like apologize for it and they mean it, I don't think that they should be like canceled. And I think like canceling somebody is like kind of like like harsh.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, I don't know if you know what's going on in the YouTube industry right now, but Shane Dawson, he's a YouTuber. He's been going under some drama as of lately, and it was involving him saying some inappropriate things about children and, like, his pets and stuff, and, like, he said it, like, over 10 years ago, but, like, just a little short rundown. I don't know everything, but he just got into more drama, like, recently. But now they're canceling him because of those things. I mean, I get that.
No, yeah, like I get like if you do something like really bad, like yeah, but I think when I mean it like when somebody does like just like little petty things, like it's like oh you're canceled for that. I think that like that's like kind of harsh, but like if somebody does something like bad, then like of course.
Yeah, and you know what's so crazy? There's some people actually being like, no, he shouldn't be canceled for this. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't want a pedophile, like, running around. I mean, no, like, shade, no hate, whatever, but, like, you shouldn't, okay, I get you should be canceled over that, but you shouldn't be canceled over something so minute and stupid.
Yeah, like that's what I mean. And people do that, like, not even, like, celebrities, like, people do that to just, like, random people, like, oh, like, this person, like, you don't even know, like, what the person is saying is true, but, like, they
Dude, I remember this one post on Facebook I posted about, one little comment I saw about pit bulls and how they're nanny dogs. And knowing me, I didn't know anything. So I just wrote, "Oh my god, my dogs are so cute. Like I have a pit bull myself." And I was like, "He's like the sweetest boy ever." And like, whatever. Literally tell me why 50 people came at me being like, "You're wrong and they're not sweet." I was like, "You're going to tell me about that my own dog?"
yeah, like, it's not even said anything bad, but they're, like, coming for your life.
I know. And then I had random people in my DMs being like, "You deserve to die." Like, I'm like, "All right."
God!
I know. This was like back in 2016. But yeah, that's like, I think I would agree with you on that trend, to be honest. Like, I don't think it should be a thing. What's your goals for your future? Because I know you just graduated with a poli-sci degree. We love that for you. Look at you.
Just we'll see. We graduated. Yeah, so I graduated with political science degree, and I wanted to go to law school. Like, I took my LSATs twice, and like now I'm like starting to apply. Yeah, I'm like kind of still deciding like what I want to do in life. Like, I'm applying to law school, and I'm like also gonna apply to grad school, I think, too. And then I'm also just like looking to see like if there's any jobs and stuff I want to do, because when it comes down to it, like, I'm 22 years old, and although that feels like I've lived like an entire life, I'm still young and I don't have to have everything figured out. But I would like to.
Yeah, man, I wish I could go back to being 22. I love that age. It was such a good age for me.
You were 22 a month ago.
I know. Now I'm 23 and I hate thinking that.
I miss being one, actually, because that felt like pivotal age.
Yeah, I think I had the most fun so far when I was 21, like in my 20s, but I would for sure like I would want to go back to being 22 just for the number itself.
Just to be the number. Okay, we can pretend you're 22, even though you've only been 23 for a month.
Literally a month. What's your goals for the next like 5 years? Do you know already, or do you? You're like, I haven't thought that far ahead yet.
So I really just want to like get started on my life, and I want to eventually move to Boston. So like hopefully I can go to school there.
That would be great for you.
I know I love Boston. For the most part though, I just want to like work on myself and like being better, like physically and mentally, and like being in a good place, and then I would like to like get started on my life. And
No, same. I just think it's so hard because especially for undergrads who just graduated. Well, is that really? Yeah, I guess it is undergrad. For like people who just graduated like us, like it's already hard enough finding a job in our field, but now you add on a pandemic where like over 30 something million people are out of jobs, and it's like,
I know it puts things in perspective, because like I'm working now. I didn't see myself still being a lifeguard like after I graduated college. Like, I saw myself like blossoming and like going right at it. But like the same time, it's like, okay, I'm making decent money and there's not much I can change now. Like, there's not a lot of people hiring, and you can't really like decide what's going on in the world. So like you just have to keep like working, and like hopefully things will get better 2021. But it does feel really weird to like be done with college and like the feeling of like, now what?
I know, I literally want to go back to college just because that's the only thing I've known. Only known school.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to, I think I'm honestly debating if I should go get back to my master's degree because I miss deadlines and I miss, like, just like school as a whole because that's all I know. You know what I mean?
I definitely miss like going to class and stuff too, because I liked learning. Like, and like you said about deadlines, because it keeps you on track. And like I'm a person, like I like my schedule to be like the same and like
Oh,
easy
we
to.
know this.
Yes. So this year has been kind of hectic. I'm like, oh my god, I don't have school, and I'm like, I have work. Like, what else?
This girl literally has 5 different planners Ask me for what? I don't know. What do you use your planners for?
I have my master planner that like I keep track of everything. Like it's like monthly, so I can keep track of like I have everything down to like when I'm working in the month, when I'm working out, and also like people's birthdays and like events coming up. Which like obviously 2020 there hasn't been that many events, but like
I was really looking forward to your pig roast, but
I mean maybe it'll happen this year. It's not on the calendar yet. So. And then I have my like weekly planner that I haven't been using that much lately because I don't really have that much going on. But like when
you're like work, 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 work for
yeah,
like 5 days a week.
yeah, like when I was studying, I would use it. Like when I was studying for my LSAT, I would use my weekly planner to be like, okay, these are the days that I'm studying. Like this is what I'm gonna do. And then I have my daily planner, which like I plan out like what I'm gonna do each like every second of the day because if I don't write it down, I'll forget. And then I have like my food planner where I look and I plan out like what food I'm
Oh my
gonna have that
god.
day.
I give you credit though. I have like maybe 3 planners and I just can't keep up with them all. I only have one and maybe my phone for like calendars, but that's it.
I use my phone for calendar when I have like doctor's appointments. So like when I make doctor's appointments, I put it in. No, yeah, I definitely have a problem, but we don't need to go. We don't
As
need to
your
go.
therapist said. Didn't your therapist say that you had like an OCD problem with like planning?
Therapist. It was just like a random doctor that I had, and we were talking about like setting alarms and like planners, and then I brought up how I have like 5 planners, and she goes, "I think you have like a little bit of OCD." Not diagnosed people, okay?
Not diagnosed. Let's make a note of that. Not. But no, that's so funny. Okay, so our next topic. Are you ready for this? Oh, you're like, I don't know. You throw so many curveballs at me. I don't know. Okay. What do you think about college hookup culture? Or hookup culture as a whole? Like, do you believe, like, in college, you think it should be considered normal? Or do you think it should?
Is normal. It also depends on like the person because like a lot of people I knew in college like were in relationships
Me.
already, like you and like the other people I knew. So it was like different. But I've also seen people where like they hook up and it's like normal for them. And I think that it's like all about like finding yourself and like finding like what you like, I guess. I
That's one way to put it.
it's fine like as long as you're being safe, I think. I think it's like it's 2021. I think like it's normal. It's on TV. Like that's how like we learned about that, you know. So I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but it just as long as you're being safe because it definitely is dangerous now with like Tinder and stuff. Like you hear my mom tells me like all the time, she's like, "Oh my god, this Tinder girl got murdered."
Oh, that when I was single for those 9 months back in 2019, I was literally like scared. That's why I didn't go on too many dates because I was terrified of what if I was like, because I watched so many Datelines with my mom.
Pressure on it, I think too, because you hear all these stories. But I think just as long as you're safe and like I feel like with at least my group of friends and like girls in general, we're always looking out for each other. Like one time, like my friend went on a date, so I went and like stayed in the back to like make sure they were good. And then when I knew they were good, I left.
I love that for you.
And people do that for me. Like there was this guy like looking at me like weird when we were at a mall and my friend like grabbed my arm and she's like, "We're just gonna walk together so he thinks we're together and we'll go away."
Dude, do you remember when a certain friend of ours, we were at Toads and she wanted to go with that guy? And we're like, no, 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 no. We're like, we don't know this guy. We don't know where he's gonna take you. You're pretty. You're gonna get like murdered. No, thank you.
Complicated too because like you want to encourage people to like go for it and like do what they want to do, but at the same time if you're like in a group of friends and like you're going out together and like you have one person who is definitely like not okay and then a guy who you don't know, it's like okay, we're gonna stick together, like nice to meet you but bye.
Especially when you've been drinking, is like we are not gonna let you go in that state of mind.
Yeah, and definitely when you're drinking too, I think that that's when you have to be careful, and you definitely have to have people who have your back. Because
No, 100%.
Jess will be like, "Oh yeah, she's getting it," and then like doesn't like they don't care like how things end up. And I think that you definitely have to make sure when you're going out with people that like you have a safety net and like you can definitely go for it and like talk to people. And if you like end up hooking up with somebody and it's like totally
Good for you. Like,
fine, whatever, yeah. But if it's going,
yeah,
but
but
if
like, just be safe about it.
yeah, if it's somebody's sketch or like you're way too like drunk or like not feeling yourself, it's probably not a great idea.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm like, from years of my mom, like, being like, be careful with like who you go out with, like, watch your drink, like, stuff like that. Like, I definitely think it's like something people should consider being like, let's not go in that state of mind. But it's tempting when you're like in that state of mind. You're like, okay, I just want to have fun. Like, just want to do whatever. Like, I have no worries in the world, this, that, the other thing. But it's also like, okay, you don't know this guy from like a hole in the wall. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
It's definitely complicated, but you always have to like have it in the back of your mind and make sure you have good friends with you who are going to protect you. Like you make it and like you end up being cool with somebody.
get your number. There you go. Meet again, like, a different time when you're not drunk. Like, you know what I mean?
There was a very scary moment, I think I told you, where like I was at a party. I don't know if you were with me or if I like told you about it. I think it's the time you like picked me up.
Oh, yeah, I think I know this moment that you're about to tell me.
I was like not even drunk, but I was like tipsy, and for whatever reason, I just like wanted to like lie down on the floor. I was tired. It wasn't like a crowded party. It like wasn't dirty. It was like on somebody's rug, and we were just like hanging out. And I heard this guy. I don't even know who he was, but I just heard him say like she could get it because I looked like I was passed out on the ground, and I was like, nope, I'm leaving.
Yeah, and then you called me. You're like, "Can you come pick me up?" And that I think that's the same night that I first drove your car, which was God trusting. No, I think it's like that was a scary situation. I was like, all right.
Yeah, and I think you definitely need to be mindful of that. And like, I got up and left, and I felt good about leaving. I'm not to say that anything would have happened, but it was just like a little like,
You never know.
yeah. And it's sad that you have to think about that, but like, that's the world we live.
No, I agree. I agree. But no, yeah, I think it's just like if you're see my opinions on hookup culture is I think if you're safe about it and you like I wouldn't say like if you know the person because like that's up to you if you want to know the person or not. But like I think it's like whatever you want to do, as long as you're safe and you're not putting yourself in danger. Like I think it's like you could do whatever.
And always like, even like if you're like dating, like especially with like Tinder and like online dating and stuff now, if like you want to go on a date, like by all means fine. Like, and if you don't know this person but you're going on a date, let's like share your location with your friend and check in just to make sure like they know you're okay.
That's a huge thing. I always checked in with my friends. I'd be always texting you or my other friend, being like, "Yo, this is where I'm going.
Yeah.
If I don't come back, you know why."
If I don't come back, come after me.
Yeah, for real. But no, I think it's definitely like something people should keep in mind of, and not even just girls, but like guys too, because like guys don't know what they're getting into. I mean, granted, they're a lot more physically stronger, but also like I think they should just stay mindful as well because they don't know what they're getting themselves into.
Yeah. Not just for girls. Like obviously there's like this like, oh, I can't think of the word, but like this like preconceived notion that like girls are the ones who are in danger, and like obviously that's true, but guys can have the same situations happen to them.
No, I agree. I agree.
Mindful.
Yeah, I think it's just like something people should keep aware of in their minds like okay, like I can go out with this person, but I'm just going to be mindful of like the environment or the situation they give off or the vibes they give off, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like cuz no guy or girl want to show up to like the date and like get kidnapped. Like no one wants that.
And if you feel uncomfortable, like don't push yourself. Go at your
That's a big thing. So, all right, last question before I let you go. It's been interesting. What is some of your favorite or funny memories together? Because I have a couple in my head.
um Just one.
You can like say how many you want. Like, I don't.
I used to enjoy, so like don't think we're weird, but like when Kayla and I lived together when it was just us, like at night, like my ass needed to go to bed. But like I said, like I had like practice in the morning and stuff, but like I didn't even care. Like we would just have so much fun. Like we would just start randomly singing like
We would literally start randomly singing such random things. Like, I think you guys would know the Evanescence song where they're like, "Wake me up, wake me up."
can't wake up.
And then we'd mix that. Yeah, right? And then we would have like these nights, these like songs, or like we'd have a melody of like, um, what's that song from Greece?
Oh, Standing My Darling.
Yeah. It would be like that song where he's in like this like the movie lot or the movie theater a lot, and we'd mix that with like smile the snack that smiles back or something.
The goldfish song.
The goldfish song.
Oh, our story song like goldfish, goldfish.
Those literally have we've had some of the most deepest like talks like right before we go to bed, and like we'd sing. I think I would laugh the most with you. Like, what was it? The Halo theme song we really bop into? Like,
I really liked like scaring the shit out of Kayla. Like,
oh my god, no.
I didn't even
She would
like I would sit up in my bed and she got so scared. She's like, "Oh my god, you're my sleep paralysis demon."
I remember my sleep paralysis team. I remember I literally screamed like one time because she sat up and I was not expecting her to sit up at all, and just looked so creepy. Like her silhouette, like you couldn't see her face or anything. It was just a dark figure, and I was like, oh my god, that's my sleep paralysis demon coming back.
Other things that like really crack me up, like obviously we haven't seen each other in like almost a year, which is like
I know, it's been very depressing.
every day. And I'm a nerd, and every time I talk about like my nerd stuff, Kayla just gets like so annoyed, and it's really funny.
Oh my god, her thing recently is her Obi-Wan Kenobi phase, and she's in love with this actor. Like, she's in love with him to the point she'll just text me 20 times in a row and I will not answer. Like, I will literally just ignore it. Like, I'll look at it, but then I'll ignore it.
I love him. He's great. And like I'll just like I won't even text her anything bad. I'll just text her like
She'll send me like 20 different things of how like she's in love with him, and then photos of him and gifts of him that she found. Like, it's insane. Like,
it just makes me laugh because she goes
it's literally the funniest thing.
I don't like this phase you're going through.
I know, I don't like this phase you're going through. It's not a phase, Mom.
Love him.
I think my favorite memory of us together has to be probably that one memory. What was it? The late night acapella sessions were my fave for sure. But I think it's the one, you remember when you're running down the hallway and you're like kicking in the air, like your heels together in the air, and then that guy came out and you started bolting down the hallway. You're like, you look back, you're like, oh no.
No, other things like so Kayla like she was a graphic design major and she always had classes where she needed people to participate.
Oh.
Good friend, I would participate. And I hope that this time I'm participating in her podcast doesn't have the same effect. But I like she was in like a film class and like she wanted me to like film myself like running or something, but like I was going to swim practice, so I had like my school bag and my swim bag, and I'm like running with like two backpacks on, and she's just like filming me. And
I think I still have the video up. I'll link it below.
oh my god, don't. I'm just like, not that it would ever happen, but if I was ever to like pursue an acting career or anything, like that would destroy me.
You know what I was just thinking about? Because you said your swim bags. I was just thinking about how you fell on the bus.
Okay, so
This woman, let me just tell you, she literally ended up being like, she got on the bus. She got on the bus.
it needs to have like context to it. Okay, so when we lived sophomore year, we lived like
PG.
off campus, but it was still like school. So they had like a shuttle that would take us to school, and so when I had class, like I typically would have like practice like before or after it. So I would always have like my book bag and like my swim bag. And for some reason, I think I had like 3 bags this time for some reason. I don't know what I had for, but I had 3 goddamn bags. And I was getting onto the shuttle, like going on the steps, and like I was a little like off balance. And then like Kaela already walked in front of me. I experienced this in slow motion. I like fell over and landed right on top of this guy's like lap, and he like grabbed my arms. And it was so embarrassing. And then you just hear Kaela already sitting down at her business. She goes, "You good?"
And then I remember hysterically laughing for like a good 30 minutes.
And I proceeded to walk around at school with like 2 backpacks on, not learning from my experience.
Oh my god, that made me tear up. That's so funny. I was thinking you were gonna mention with the film class, I was thinking you were gonna mention the ones where I had to film you and Asada doing the knock knock jokes videos.
I remember that, to be honest. Stupid thing. And I let her because I was being a supportive friend. And I'm like, all the videos were cringy. Every single one.
Yeah, you're right. I'll definitely link the zombie apocalypse one down below.
It was always like right when I was like going or coming back from it. So like I looked not good. She's like, "We have to do it now." I'm like, "Why do we have to do it now?" But I did it because I'm a good friend.
You're so funny. Literally, like, it would be like her taking a water bottle out of this empty soda machine that, like, we literally, like, she already had the water bottle. She just put it in there and then reached into her arm. And I'll link it below. You guys can see it. It's funny. She's like, "No, let's not. Let's cut that out." But, no, like, it was just like, those are the funniest moments. I laugh the most when I'm with you because you're literally hilarious.
I think like one of the highlights, I said like freshman year was like the worst year of my life, but I think like one of the highlights was I met Kaela my freshman year of college, and we just kind of like instantly hit it off. And really long time to like be close friends with somebody. But I just like hit it off, and it was
We just clicked like so quick. I think it's also because we had Asada with us. Like, she like kind of introduced us.
Yeah, I was friends. Shout out to Asada.
Shout out to Asada Tony.
Asada in high school, and we both went to Sacred Heart. And then Kaela was Asada's roommate, and I met her through them. And then like we kind of like crossed.
Yeah, like I think the funniest thing I probably will remember from freshman year is when you came to my room, and Asada, I think, was home for the weekend or whatever, but you came to my room, you're like, "You want to hang out?" I was like, "Okay." And you had left 2 things of chocolate milk in my fridge. And this, mind you, this girl's lactose intolerant. Like, she can't drink milk. So she had 2 things of chocolate milk in our mini fridge, and she's like, "Oh, this expires tomorrow." She proceeds to down the milk in a single setting, and then I actually have a video of it. She goes, "I think I'm gonna throw up."
It was gonna go bad. Am I gonna waste my money? No.
You're like, "It did not help." You're like, "Should I have probably done that? No. Will I do it again? Probably." You did. Oh my god, that's literally hilarious. Thank you for being my first guest on this podcast. Did I tell you what the name's gonna be? Catching Up with Kaela.
I told you not to make it too Kardashian.
My mom suggested it. She's like, "You should do like K's, like the K in like catching up, or like catching up." Such a New Year sometimes.
I like it because it's kind of like a.
I was gonna do absolutely Kaela, but then I was like, "Is that stupid?" Like, I thought it was good, and then she said it. She didn't like that, so I was like, "All right."
I like it, but it sounds so Kardashian. Kaela Kardashian.
I had the longest, toughest time figuring out a name for it. I was like, "What do I even put?"
I feel that I can't like name.
Me neither. I'm like, "What do I put?" So I tried doing a generator. We'll see. But anyways, but thanks for being my first podcast guest, and maybe we'll bring you back to talk Star Wars with my dad, because I'm trying to film an episode with him. He's like, "We can talk about anything, but we're not talking about my childhood." I was like, "Okay."
I love him.
I was like, okay, it's whatever you want.
I will absolutely do that. And like I said, I hope that this project is better than the other ones that I
Oh my god, it will be a lot better. Trust me. Oh my god, that's so funny. But I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to support and live life.
Yeah.
Well, for the followers at home, do you have anything you want to say to them before we end this?
Hi. I hope you didn't think I was too weird. Because if you did, I'll think about that for a really long time. And I hope that like I didn't sound so stupid, and I hope that if you took away any of the advice that I gave, that it helped.
Can we just go back to the part where she said, if you think I'm weird, I'll think about it for a very long time? All my comments in the video below would be like, she's weird. I'm kidding.
Like, okay, I'm never showing my face again.
Don't worry, we'll make a part 2 of the zombie apocalypse video, link below. So, alright, well, thanks for being on the pod, my friend. We'll maybe have her on a second episode debating on if she wants to hear about Star Wars for like 3 hours.
I do. We will be having
You're like, we're gonna have one.
And if you think I'm weird now, just wait.
Oh my god. Let's like a whole 3-hour episode of like Obi-Wan Kenobi and like I can't. Anyway.
I talk for very long, but like we don't need to get into
It's fine. We don't need to get into that. We don't need that Obi-Wan Kenobi phase in here.
It's not a phase.
It is a phase. Okay, so we're gonna end this now. I hope you guys like this episode. Like and subscribe below. And yeah, catch you on the flip side.